Welcome to Universal Journey Talk, Part 1 of Episode 3.
I am Kirk with Erik or Allegoris. What's going on, man? Hey.
Yep.
All right. So we're here. I'm feeling good. Putting out that positive energy, taking it in. I got all my all my gear on to keep all that positive energy going. How about yourself? All right. working it. So
Sure, baby.
oh, okay, nice. So we just we're gonna kick back again. We want those who are watching to chill, let all that negative energy get out of the way. It's time for us to get meta and put some positive energy out there, and so that's what we're gonna do. All right. So we said before we were gonna get to everyone's comments and stuff. We're just gonna go over the main ones. So I just wanted to go right to it. But first of all, we'll just talk about what we're talking about here. It's going to be mostly about 5D. We want to get into that a little bit. We want to get into numerology, numbers. We want to get into the realms. Hopefully we'll have enough time to cover all that. If not, it's all good. Anyway, so but just to start off, so I just wanted to start off here with let me see, our first comment that came from Heather Robinson. I actually think it was I don't know, it was a few comments in. But anyway, she wrote a lot, and it was very compelling. I guess she was, she had a lot to say based off of our last episodes. So anyway, she was talking a little bit about, as we can see, about her, being raised religiously. So I just took like a couple notes here, and one of them was how she talked about how she grew up, and that she a lot of sin and shame and things like that. So I guess we'll delve into that a little bit more. But then she talked about being she raised her children Catholic. Also, even though she it didn't sit well with her, which is kind of interesting. So here's when she went into all these different parts here, talking about how the children were not, they started acting different after they started going, to I think it was Catholic school, and about how they were kind of losing a little bit of their joy. So she talks about how they had to a lot of things about obeying and getting in line, looking at her children, why the anger that they started to display. Irritability, talking about, I don't know, like punish mode. And then she mentioned something interesting about there's a difference between teaching your children about punishment and discipline. And the difference between how, there's the negativity involved in that, depending on how it's done. And then, of course, again, she goes down here further about, they were taught to be second and to be followers, which I found that to be interesting. Because I had never gone to Catholic school or anything like that, so I had no idea about how it how. And now, of course, this was her experience. This is not every all experiences, of course. But and then here talking about here that how religion is oppressive in her opinion, and that she was taught to be judgmental, about people. So I found a lot of that, like, wow, like, a lot of stuff, a lot of points there. And, I guess we just kind of gloss over it a little bit. First of all, for one thing, I think you and, I, Erik and most people would agree, religion has many good things about it, but it's almost to what extent is it repressive? If it starts to like repress your spirit, then to what extent is it time for you to maybe move on, so that's kind of like one of the I guess the angles I'm kind of coming up on it, because you and I were both, well, once again, you not as much as I, but I was raised much more strict religiously, and I definitely can understand a lot of what she's saying. I can definitely relate, because it seemed, for for me, that was a lot in my, as I was developing, I felt in the same way, even though I was trying to do quote unquote the right thing, that, well, a lot of other people were able to explore and do what they wanted to. No, I had to stick, by the rules. And I thought, it was for my protection, or it was for, doing the right thing because that's what God wanted. But it starts to bring you into this like kind of question in your mind of, and this is something that I thought about a lot as I started to get older and started to, delve into other things, was if your spirit, if your soul, if your inner whatever that is feels like you're being repressed and you're not allowed to do this and you're not allowed to do that and you're not allowed to do that, then why have a spirit that wants to do all these things? Why even have it? Like, why would God or your creator or whatever it is give you all these abilities to want to express yourself and figure out things and find out things for yourself? But there's so many things. You can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do that, you can't do that. It almost feels like it's contradictory. You know what I'm saying? Now, once again,
or like a tease. You can look, but you can't touch.
Yeah, right, exactly. So and once again, I think that there's a lot of good parables in the Bible. Certainly, it's something that there's a lot of scripture that should be read and different things to get an understanding of history. There's different teachings of wisdom in there, but just coming back around, I understand where she's coming from, and I think the way she kind of ended it off, which she did. She ended off the comment, which was that she kind of has decided now to not be as much religious, if I read it correctly, but just more taking what she learned from what she learned, and now she's moving forward and not having the church be her authority anymore. And I think that's personally, I think that's a good way to be in life in general. Like, I think it's good to take the good of what you can learn from any teaching, any establishment, any organization, whatever it is. But I'm really a strong believer in that you have to decide for yourself what seems to be right. And I don't think it's, now there are people out there that really, maybe are not as conclusive about things, and they want someone to kind of like lead them. And that's your prerogative. You know what I mean? Like, if you don't feel comfortable in making your own decisions or whatever that is, or certain things, certain aspects of your life, and you want someone to tell you this is how you should do it, then then by all means, I go ahead. Hopefully, you just find someone that won't take advantage of you and won't control you and things like that. An organization, a person, an entity, whatever that is. But so that was her comment. I thought it was pretty interesting.
I think a lot of times, when you look at, especially religion or spirituality, like really, like sometimes they're looked at as the same thing, but it's not really. Like it's like religion's a part of spirituality, but it isn't all spirituality. Right. It's everything spirit, And I think that's why, like, again, balance is everything. Too much spirituality could be an issue. Too much religion could be an issue. And if you can, like you said, if you don't feel comfortable with something, and it's always on your mind or something, well, then I think that is one of your senses telling you intuitively there's something here that we're having either a disagreement in some way, maybe our ego with what's going on, what our soul's telling us, and maybe it's causing some type of complication which you're sensing, Right. And that's why I kind of like it. Kind of choosing rather a religion or this religion or if any religion is good for you. A lot of it is just letting really going by what your soul or what your what your heart's telling you. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I think that's part of the difference when we talk about like 3D and 5D. You know what I mean? A lot of things we kind of know intuitively, because I mean we're humans. Humans are naturally psychic or intuitive to a degree anyway. It's the human body, you know. And the more like conscious we are as we evolve and move forward to like 5D consciousness, you know what I mean? Which is, you know, would naturally you'd be more open minded and be more open to opening up, you know, wholeheartedly, and to with more unconditional love, and not really not being so judgmental with things anymore, and just, you know, be more, again, open minded. And so, like, rather, you know, religion sometimes there's a lot of principles and things you can learn from it, you know, but like it doesn't mean, you know, it has to be your whole life, you know what I mean? It could be like a tool, you know what I mean? You know, an instrument that you go to and use, you know, but it doesn't have to, like a lot of times when something gets too extreme or something, or and like you said, her comments, or like even her kids, they just didn't seem like, you know, they didn't feel like you know, they're joyful anymore, or, you know what I mean, and
Right.
and it kind of lost that glow. If you really see that from it, if it's from like being in a religion or something, well then one would have to ask, like, well why would we feel that way? Maybe it's too extreme, or in a sense, you know what I mean? But
Absolutely.
then again, there's also looking at it being practical and logical, and some things is like, I know we don't like rules and regulations in a sense, but there are some things it's more about knowing how to navigate. And I think sometimes you can use, if the Bible is the tool you want to use, I think it's a tool that you can use to help navigate through life.
Sure.
And some things you got to know, like look both ways before you cross the street. Well, that I mean, you know, that's something that we can all learn.
Right.
But it doesn't have to be so complex where, you know, to never cross the street to begin with. No, just look both ways and then go. You can walk across the street. It's nothing to fear, you know.
Right.
And always feel like, you know. So you don't want to open your mind and you know, expand to new horizons, and, you know, so you can look at it something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's still a lot of it, you know, again, kind of like what the basic tone that I was getting from her in this is that it's about restriction. And, you know, as we said, restriction is good in some ways, and then it's not. And then there's a certain point where you yourself have to kind of start to evaluate, you know, for yourself or for your children or whatnot, where something is no longer as helpful as you want it to be. You know, maybe there were some good things in the beginning of it, and then you find out, you know what, now they've had enough of this. Now it's time to move on to something else, you know. And
like you said before, you know, like in life, you know, you can learn, you know, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, you know.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be one thing, you know.
Yeah.
And that's it. You
Yeah.
know, like again, everything has its good points, and that's what you take from it, you know.
Right.
And just like knowledge, you know, with knowledge, like, doesn't mean you have to take what everybody says or believe what everybody says, you know.
Right.
That would just be naive if you know, just to just go on what anyone says.
Right.
But take what you resonate with, and stay open to other information. And the more you resonate with, you'll see the more you'll evolve as a person, because it's information that you resonate with and that you know is true, and or it's your truth, and that's it. It's all about truth.
Well, and there you have it. So yeah, so I appreciate her comment. Really, she had a lot to say, and that was really really deep. All right, so I guess with that, we'll move on to her next. Let me see. The next comment was from let's see, we went through there. It was Justin Eisenhower, my buddy. So when we were talking about numerology and stuff a little bit. We just tapped on it a little bit in the one of our previous episodes. But so he wrote in, he was saying here, in the Bible, number 4 means creation. I didn't know that. Okay. This number directly relates to the creative ability of God. Okay. The earliest mention of 4 in the Bible is in the book of Genesis that I knew about. During the creation week, God finished the creation of what he termed the material universe on the 4th day. Now I don't know much about the material universe. Like, is that are you like aware of that? Like, is there a difference between the material universe or maybe is he talking about like a certain realm or something like that? I don't know.
Well, the material universe, really, we are the material physical universe.
Okay, so there wasn't anything deeper. Right.
That would be the third dimension or the matter realm.
Okay, all right. So he's talking about just our regular, as we know it, the material universe. Okay, all right. And all right, then he moves on here, and then I mentioned, let me see, the number of the order of the universe is 4. Okay, the 4 elements of the earth, air, fire, and water. Okay, the 4 seasons. That's a good point. The 4 points of the compass. That's interesting.
Even like the cross could also is another symbol of, when you look at it, the 4 points of the universe.
Okay.
The 4 corners.
All right.
Or the 4 elements.
Right. And then he mentions here the 4 phases of the moon, which I kind of never thought of it that way. The new, the half moon waxing, full, half moon waning, whatever. So I don't even know any of that stuff. But okay, that's interesting. And then he puts, because 4 is generally a practical material number, few superstitions are associated with it. So, and interestingly enough too, check this out. His jersey that he has, on the back of it, it's got his last name Eisenhower, and the back of it is 48. Isn't that interesting? 48. Right.
Yeah.
So so there's something something going on. You can see how it's there's definitely I clearly don't know enough about it, but I will say this: in the past, let me see, the past I don't know, I'm trying to think about now, a year now or so, even my wife has been seeing a lot of synchronicity in numbers. 333, whatever, 111 or whatever. A lot of times now, and she just happened to notice. We'll be talking, and she'll be like, "Hey, what's that?" And then she'll go look it up and see what the meaning of it is and stuff. So, definitely, she's tapping into something. And I think once again, it's kind of going back to what we were talking about in our the earlier episodes about like awakenings. There's something, small little things going on, all to do with this change that's, coming this way. You know what I mean? I think even you were saying stuff like about that with, were you saying even your kid was seeing a couple things?
Jake, yeah.
Yeah, with numbers or something? Yeah.
You see 5-3, which, Fibonacci numbers.
Oh, okay.
I see it all. Yeah. So 38, 33, 11, 11, that's like when people start going through that shift of, an awakening of some sort. Usually they'll see 11, 11 or, you'll see all different types of it. These numbers all mean something. Numbers, like you're saying, like in the material world. And remember, there's the material world, like the physical world. And you also have the energy world and ethereal energy. And like number 4 would be a bridge in between of the material, the physical world, and the energy world. And number 4 would be a bridge to that. So it makes sense, like number 4, the 4 elements, like we were just saying, and the significance of that, and how that builds a foundation. Kind of like when you look at a pyramid has 5 points, but the 4 points on the bottom, the 4 sides to a pyramid,
right?
That would be the 4 elements, and earth, water, fire, air. Then the 5th one element would be sky or heaven or whatever you ether, and that's where you'll see. So 4 is that foundation, that or that bridge in between 3 and 5, the material realm and the ethereal higher plane.
That's where now you went to I think Egypt like twice now. Am I correct?
3 times.
3 times. Wow. Okay. And you went to the pyramids 3 times?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I mean, clearly you've got.
We were lucky. We got to meditate in the pyramids for 2 hours. We literally rent out Giza, and we get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, or like 4, and we go in there, and we did it every year for 2 hours. I was lucky. I was fortunate to even meditate in the king's chamber. So,
wow, you didn't tell me that.
Yeah, that's some. It's I'll go into it sometime, but really, like, great experience. Just that energy, and it's not like when you leave Egypt, and you bring that back, and I feel like when we talk about consciously and kind of understanding our divine pattern, it's a big part of that. It definitely awakens you in many different ways. It's hard to really explain and pinpoint it in one, but it's just I know just in real time, and almost in a way that's not linear. I feel it makes all a little more sense, and how we're always part of this spiritual journey is finding yourself, and like the Greeks would say, know thyself, and that's the truth. And a lot of times, I'll tell you, just traveling to different countries and just breathing different air, you know what I mean, and going to these different sacred sites in Turkey and Jordan, Petra. I mean, number one, I'm grateful, and me and Kristen really had some really amazing experience with it, and it's been awesome, and hopefully we'll be going soon, And,
right.
I know with I don't want to bring up the pandemic and all that stuff, but kind of slow things down, but we'll be hopefully back on board soon, and that's what's up.
Wow.
Maybe you should come with us.
Hey,
that's what's up.
I would definitely want. Yeah, I want to do a lot more of that stuff. There's a lot of things I want to do. It's just time and money and whatever. What's that? What?
We will. You will in due time.
There you go, man. Exactly. There's another buddy of mine who I'm getting off a little bit track here, but with the 5D and other things. But I think it ties in a little bit. Actually, it kind of ties in. Wait, what? What'd you say?
I threw you off. My bad.
No. It's all good. It's all good. This guy kind of got me thinking more about the realms, like with the pyramids and stuff. DMT is a pretty interesting chemical that you can take that opens up your mind and really makes you go into different directions. So he tried it, I don't know, some months ago, and told me that.
DMT or ayahuasca?
What's that?
Did he do DMT or ayahuasca?
DMT. Yeah, he said it was definitely DMT. Like, he wanted specifically because he heard all about how it transports your mind and stuff. And he said some really interesting things that really got me like, whoa. For one thing, when he took it and he finally went off into whatever, he woke up in like a chamber of one of the pyramids or something, and then he said there was like a goddess that was there that was had like a cat-like features or something about her as cat-like, and was guiding him through chambers in different.
Hey, not to cut you off, that would be Sekhmet.
Well, hold on.
She's the lionhead goddess.
Well,
yes.
Check it out.
Yeah.
Well, check this out. So
Princeton always sees her a lot.
Okay, well, he doesn't know anything about the guy. He doesn't know anything about that stuff. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
Neither do I really. But anyway, so she was guiding him through things. She was taking him through like different realities and stuff. And he was trying to explain a lot of it. Some of it didn't make sense. Some of it did. But check this out. So then, finally, it wore off, and he said it was the most, like crazy but amazing, profound, whatever experience. And then, like you said, he did a little bit of research and he found out that was the name of the god, and he was like, whoa. So now he's like, he totally believes in the Egyptian gods and everything and stuff. He was like, so wait, basically he's saying he did tap into something for real. And that got me like, whoa, so
it wasn't just hallucinations. It wasn't just like, oh, he was just high or whatever. Like, no, these things, these are real. I mean, especially metaphysically speaking. Like these are different things like DMT or mushrooms, and they in some ways open different parts of the mind, and allow consciousness to filter through. And because really that's what your brain is. Your brain would be basically the communicator, or that tries to downloads consciousness, if that makes sense, of what happened. The brain just downloads consciousness. It's not conscious, and it's just downloads. And different parts of your brain opens different parts of your mind, and it helps, and it can expand in many ways. And there's many benefits that they say, like, or mushrooms, how it can help with multiple personality disorder, and all different type of things. Even however you want to look at it, but there's different, like, we know. There's different planes, there's different dimensions, and that's where it's happening when we talk about the third dimension, the fourth dimension, the fifth dimension, sixth dimension, whatever, on and so on. And that's what you're doing. A lot of times are tapping in in that bridge, and seeing beyond just the physical,
Right. So now
Terrence McKenna gets, real big into DMT and that there's it's real. It's real. It definitely opens you up.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, kind of like what you were saying with, like, okay, the fifth, the sixth, the dimensions and stuff. I think that's kind of like what I was just trying to build into a little bit also. Oh, by the way, so I want to thank Justin for those comments. They really were very interesting.
Cool.
Yeah.
Hey, by the way, I'm not saying that everybody should just be jumping out, taking DMT or whatever. I'm just saying everything with, there's a way to, you got professionals and experts in how to do whatever. I'm just saying, but
right. Right. I mean, I'll tell you what, I've definitely, considered, if I ever get an opportunity for DMT, it seems like something that I want to experience, because if there's another level that I could break into, in other words, I personally, I don't want to do it per se for recreational purposes. I want to do it to see if I can actually experience something. You know what I mean? But anyway, so
well, that's a good. And just to jump on real quick, just like a DMT, there's when I was talking about ayahuasca, a lot of people are getting into that shamanism,
right.
And that was something I did, and it's similar to DMT in many ways, I guess. But it really helped me, even like physically, you know what I mean? And it's something like it, because I like me and my twin brother, always had like stomach issues and stuff, and when I did it, it really healed me with like a lot of that, cleans you, not only just spiritually speakingly or consciously, but also even physically, and it's medicinal, and that's mind, body, and soul. So that's something that really worked out. I've done that quite a few times, and that's something I really that really helped out. So I know these things, and they work, and sometimes when you do it, like it's it's a form of purging. It's not always like a. I'm not saying like ayahuasca wasn't like it was that fun. It's something like I wouldn't recommend it to do it recreational anyway. It's you. Hey, like when you purge physically, like you could, usually puking or diarrhea. You know what I mean?
Oh.
Or a lot of times just yawning. You just yawn, but that's actually a form of purging. Rather we understand it.
Anxiety.
Yeah. And but it really that was a good really good experiences, and that too could be hallucinogenic sometimes for some and sometimes not. Sometimes you don't experience nothing. You literally the only thing you may experience is tummy is your tummy maybe a tummy and diarrhea or whatever, like I said, or puking. So it all depends. But
right. So,
in the end, as far as on medicinal purposes, I mean it's really really helped out in many ways. I have to say.
Talking about 5D and realms now, is realms another word for the different versions of 5D, or is there a separate? Are they different? You know what I mean? Like when you mention realms, is that the same thing as saying dimensions? You know what I mean? Is there a difference?
No, I actually I get how you want to say like different, there's different dimensions or, we could talk about like different dimensions of the mind, or consciously speaking, or like where we are, different planes, different realms. So it depends on how we're talking about anything like, is there a difference in vibrations and frequencies really? Depends what are we talking, what terms is
okay.
Kind of,
All right.
It's all similar.
So do you know like,
like 3D or 5D, we're like most of us, unless you're like Jesus, but this is a 3D. We're in a third dimension. This is a 3D dimension, which is the third dimension. This is the physical realm. We're physical. We're not like so etheric energy. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's we're super condensed energy at a slower vibration. You know what I'm saying? So we're more dense. We're not like spirit or we're not soul form or energy. We're solid. We're matter. This is the matter realm. So when we say like this is the matter realm, and in that matter realm would be in the third dimension. If that makes sense, you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. Okay. And I guess.
And if we talk about fourth dimension and fifth dimension, then we're going up to the higher dimension. You know what I mean?
Right. Do you know, I hear a lot about, at least on the internet and different things, everyone's talking about the fifth dimension. Why don't they mention the fourth one as much? Like, is there some reason? Like, or, you know what I mean? Like,
well, the fourth dimension, I guess, they do. When people talk about dreams, that's really usually pertains most of the time in the fourth dimension when you go to sleep in the dream world. And that's that bridge, and from that, and for those that like astral travel and things, astral journey, go through that bridge, or when you meditate and you want to take it to that level and go to 5D dimensions, obviously to the sixth dimensions. You know what I mean? Like the fourth dimension in the dream world would be a bridge to that, and that's why people can go into deep, meditative states, and the mind can go as far as 9 dimensions and beyond, so it's
all right, actually, you know what, speaking about that, I got a kind of a theory that I often think about, which is so I guess this would be more of a fourth dimension theory, which is I always, I'm sure people find dreams very interesting, but when I kind of put a lot of this together, if you believe in or acknowledge that we're all connected we're all sound, we're all vibration, then everything, the universe, everything is all connected, and I feel right. So I feel that right. So I feel that when you go into your dream state. And I think, there's some people may have heard the term. We know it, the pineal gland it sits somewhere in the center of your brain, and it releases melatonin and all these other things that help bridge you into the dream world. Now, what I find so interesting about the dream world, if you're more conscious, or if you're someone that is can remember a lot of your dreams. Some people have a hard time when you're remembering dreams. Other ones can remember them very vividly. I remember mine very vividly. And a lot of times, some of the dreams I'll have are just like amazing. Like I'm going out into the universe and all these other weird things, or just strange things that. Or
you're the one that told me how to start practicing lucid dreaming.
Yeah,
it was you.
Right.
And I a couple of dreams that I remember you and me were out the pyramids, literally actually like having a gentleman's fight. We're like heroes and shooting lasers and stuff. It was crazy. And I remember it was the day after you told me or try that night, and I did it, and I was like, oh wow, this is awesome. Where I was lucid, and I knew I was in a dream. And just like any time, I mean, there were times I knew I'd be like, hey, am I in a dream right now? And but I noticed the hard part is once you know you're in a dream, you're like, if you think too much, you're kind of like, oh wait a minute, my head's actually on the pillow right now. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, don't wake up. You know what I mean? And then all of a sudden, I'll wake up.
Right.
Now I know that I'm too conscious of it.
Right.
I think the practice, there were times I was able to stay in the dream much longer.
Yeah.
And that actually I had one that wasn't even that long ago that was lucid. So.
Right.
But
actually, well, we'll go. I want to do like more of a part on lucid dreaming. Wait, what are you about to say? What?
You're good. You're good.
Yeah. I want to go more into that and how to do it, because there's a lot of benefits to that, which astronauts have done it in the past. There's like all these different ways where you can use while you're asleep to actually do work and stuff like that. And of course to increase your consciousness and different things. A lot of like geniuses in the past would actually work in their sleep, because in your sleep you have in your dreams you have the ability to create whatever you want. So there's a lot of good things to it. So yeah, I've been practicing
songs in my sleep.
What's
and
that?
The cool part is I've written songs in my sleep.
Yeah, that's common.
The cool part is it's like I didn't really write it; it just came to me.
Well,
as long as I woke up and I remember the
right.
The melody or whatever.
Right.
Sometimes I couldn't remember all the words, obviously, but I just feel them in. But I always like the relative, like the hook or the bridge or the melody. And I was like, I basically got the whole song. It's just filling dots right there.
Yeah. I'll well, I mean, as some people know, I've been in on and off in a local band for a long time. I think it was three of our songs. I literally had to wake up during the dream to hum it all out and on a recorder thing, and get it all. And they are literally our songs right now that we have. So it's pretty cool.
Well, see, and that's what I'm saying, because when you think about it, people don't understand. No one really invents anything. You're only getting it from God, or your source, or whatever you want to call it. You know what I mean? The power. But that's the collective consciousness that we all share. Basically, what Christ was talking about, or and understand, becoming 5D, you understand, it would be like Christ consciousness, and we would understand actually. In the end, we would have a natural understanding that we're all actually one. We're all a whole. You know what I mean? And that we're just kind of like let's say we took a circle, a sphere, and broke it, and it was a jigsaw puzzle. Well, then we would all, as individual souls, be just a piece of the jigsaw puzzle. But in the end, we're all part of that one, that whole, that circle. If you meditate and go so far in my mind, and I meditate and go so far in your mind, we're just going to come out to one mind, and that's Christ consciousness. We're all hooked up.
Yeah. Okay, Christ consciousness, which, and I also I word it more as like source. That is another common thing that other people.
Yeah, whatever you want to call it, God.
Different wording, yeah.
Everybody has all these labels, so.
Exactly, right. But no, it's true. But well, kind of going along with what you're saying about the collective consciousness, this goes back to my theory, which I believe could be very true, which is, so when you go into your dream state. Sometimes, maybe you or other people, if they're can recollect. There's sometimes you'll have some dreams that are so crazy, or like where you're almost like that. I don't think I never saw a movie that made me think of it. I never thought I would do such a thing. I never thought I would, whatever. And when I'm basically, coming to is because I do believe that when you go into the dream state, that is your mind unconsciously or subconsciously going into the realm of the collective consciousness. So yeah, you are your identity, but your identity is drawing in other identities and other experiences. So there may be things that you will experience in your dreams where you're like, it was so vivid, it was so real, but it was like I never could have even imagined that or something. Or things that you might have done in your dreams where you're like, I would never do something like that. And it's because you're delving into the conscious, collective conscious.
It's just like you said, and like you said, there's things you wouldn't do, or and when you're in a dream state, depending on how deep you go, there's different levels, So there's in different planes. So when you're in there, some planes you could be experiencing yourself as different reincarnations and just telling stories either in the past or maybe in the future, and some of them are just premonitions that are to come. That's why some of those dreams, they may feel like this isn't just a dream. It's more, or maybe it's more like a vision, or because you said it's so vivid that it's had an added dimension to it. Because whatever this is, it's probably in a deeper or higher plane, and that's why it's so embedded to you. So when you wake up, you're like, this was different, or like you're having, maybe it is almost like prophetic or something, a prophecy or something, a vision or something. You could tell your soul is trying to tell you something. I don't know. You know what I mean? There's many different ways to look at it, but
right. And now to me, these are what I also consider to be, I guess you could say they are actual realms, though. They're realms of reality. You know what I mean? Yeah. Or, dimensions, however you want to put it. And it's just how deep will you allow yourself to go? And you can do it through dreams. And that's for instance, if there's people that are like, well, I don't want to touch drugs and this and that. Like, I fully understand that. I've never actually done any hallucinogens or anything like that myself because of fear of, a fear of them. But, clearly it seems like depending on how you do it and how you whatever, you're opening up potential gateways. You know what I mean? And then it's what you do with those gateways. I mean, you can go to an amazing place, an amazing reality, and really just, skip around, not pay attention to nothing, come back and you learn nothing. You know what I mean? Or you can be in that reality and you can actually start to, learn and draw in things that maybe you can't get in our reality,
But like everything, especially, see, I don't want to be calling it a drug. You know what I mean? To me, it's medicine.
Oh, I got
any
you.
medicine.
True.
You don't really you wouldn't go you wouldn't go taking 90 vitamin C's in a sense, or even garlic. Actually is a medicine. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And
totally.
When you're putting garlic in everything, and that's what like Westerners do. But it wasn't really made to be taken like that. It's actually it's a medicine. So you wouldn't take
I get you.
You wouldn't on a daily basis. You only to handle something or
right
to just perform. But after that, it's not to be taken on a daily. So same thing with these medicines, whether it's DMT, ayahuasca, mushrooms, and so on. You got different cactuses and all different type of things that but remember, like anything, responsibility, and you'll know if you're using it for medicine. Usually you can tell if it's something, and as you learn about things like spirituality, you'll know if that's something that you would be interested in, and if it works for you. You don't need to do these things. You could do everything. Meditation is, to me, works really good anyway, and so, because the thing is, if you overdo anything, even like in taking these medicines, you can burn yourself out in a sense consciously, and So that can in a sense work against you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If sense.
No, I mean it's like anything. I mean, in the regular pharmaceutical world, or holistically, you can overload in anything. I mean, like these are still, like you said, they're medicines. I mean, and I mean, or they are, however you want to perspective. You could also call them drugs, or however you want to look at it, whatever, because they have effects. So, either way, yeah, you have to be, you can't just be, stupid about it and just go, I'm just going to take as much as I want, because they will obviously affect your brain, your body, whatever. And so, it's, I think that's the difference between anything. Like you can overdo anything that can start to be detrimental for your health or for your mind in any way, unless you know how to do it right. And, hopefully, with someone that has experience, and then, you can really get a lot of gain out of it, So, but also
really?
like,
Want to get the spiritual part, especially, it comes with some maturity, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, hey, look, I'm not going to sit there and say like, oh, like, I mean, you can smoke weed and it could be a really spiritual experience, or you can just smoke it for a recreational purpose.
Right.
Now, I'm not going to lie, it's done both, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But like anything, it's being, there's a part of maturity and a lot of things. And as if you really want to learn something, well, you'll know if it resonates with you, then go then that should be an issue. That's more of your it's intuitive, But if it doesn't resonate with you, and you feel it's probably something that I don't need to do, then you probably shouldn't do it. Probably not a good idea, at least not now.
Yeah.
There's no rush.
Yeah.
Like I said, meditation is, I mean, well, it is very I would say the most effective thing at all for period. Just you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Because that's just when you meditate and your mind is present, then you're automatically on the higher frequency,
right?
And that aren't bounded by fear, in a sense, or fear frequency,
right? Right.
You the cork just riding with the wave of life naturally. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And when these lower waves come through the lower realms, the lower planes, that's as we are in fear. Then it's like it's resistance, and that's what takes that cork that's riding on the wave, nice and easy, going with the wave of the flow of life that is pulling that cork down, and that's resistance. And that's how us in 3D consciousness we experience all the time. You can feel fear, worry, doubt, judgment. This is the realm. The 3D realm is the realm of judgment, or good versus evil. In the other planes, like the higher planes, there is no judgment, and there really isn't even really good or evil. It's in some ways you can almost understand more of a concept. And so the good, the evil, the judgment is kind of for us in the third realm. In the lower realm, the dense realm, to kind of test us in a sense, and we're going to go through, navigate through these challenges, as long as we understand that where there's light, there's always darkness. Stars can't shine without darkness, but understand what the light is in the path of light in this realm, because we are all spiritual creatures, and we're all source energy, and that there is a higher power. We're all we all have God in us. We're not separate. It's all one. It's all like one and the same, in a sense.
Yeah, actually,
universally, esoterically speaking, metaphysically speaking, beyond just the five senses.
Right.
When we start going to other planes, there's a sixth sense that helps us understand, like when you're talking about the third eye and the pineal gland, these things that's like under dollar bill, back of the dollar bill, the all-seeing eye. Understanding that's that opens you up and understanding the higher realm, just like you would in a 5D conscious state or mode. You know what I mean? You see things with an added dimension that in 3D we don't see that.
You said a good point, which is that, you know, God is in us, and it's like we all kind of know that, or source is in us, whatever type, however you want to word it. But I think that's like really important to always remember that, because that's what gives you the, you know, what I feel is the ability to keep moving forward, because you're not alone. You know, we are all connected. We're all sharing this same energy. That's why, you know, we wanted to do this show to keep uplifting, you know, people's, energy, that higher consciousness, give you a good feeling. You know what I mean? Like, let you know that, you know, I mean, you know, as we're learning, we're trying to put it out there. Keep that circle of positivity, you know, going. And that's what, and the more people that do that, then the more people feel better. And the more that people feel better, it just domino effect, you know?
And just to add on, which I think it's Marianne Williamson in her book Return to Love. I think she or the Course in Miracles, whatever. When like you were saying, what were you just saying? I'm starting to lose my thought.
About like how we all have God in us, or you know, like
how we all have God in us,
right?
And in a sense. And that's why when you look at it in a 3D way, the difference between a 3D way of looking at it to a 5D way would be kind of like when you're 3D, you kind of you happen to think that you're a body that just happens to have a soul, but really 5D is the opposite. You're a soul first that just happens to have a body. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I get it. Yeah, I mean, I think it makes a lot of sense. A lot of that is still a little over my head because I'm still learning more, you know, of this stuff. But I get it, you know, or I need to learn more about it. But it makes sense.
I understand if you don't get it because you're not 5D.
Well, you know what it is. Check this out. Remember I told you a while ago. I was doing what was it? I was doing I was on YouTube because, you know, they have like the different meditation videos and different things, whatever. And they had the one where they walk you through in live, you know, in real time, through like a whole meditation like event or something. I forget, it's a specific type of meditation or something where it's, yeah, I guess it's like verbal meditation where they walk you through what you're supposed to do, what you're supposed to see, what you're supposed to experience.
Yeah, guided meditation. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about, right? So
a guided meditation. Yeah.
Okay. So it was really cool. I actually had to stop. I got about 20 minutes in or something, because it was maybe a 2-hour thing or something. And I think I told you this. So this was really, it was more like the profound moments or whatever, where so you know, I'm walking, I'm imagining, I'm visualizing, I'm doing everything, whatever, right? And I'm not going to say it because I'm going to put a link down here because I don't want anyone to, I don't want to spoil it for anyone, kind of thing. You know, I want you to experience it for yourself. But literally, from doing it, and then I couldn't go any further because I got the chills. I got what is basically saying, what is my real name, my soul name, okay, my eternal name, you know what I mean, whatever and stuff. And you know, it's now the only thing is it was hard to focus and see it really strongly because I think I wasn't taking it as serious as I should have, but it still affected me. So I know it's either Juhr or Jurh or something. It's like Jur or something. I don't know. So,
all right, yeah. That's cool.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
So I need to go back into it. I'm hoping that I still have it in my I think I saved it in my library on my YouTube thing. It's a very visual thing. I'll put a link down here, whatever, in the description for if anyone wants to check it out. Just, you know, be in a quiet place where we're not going to be, you know, have distraction, and then just start going through it. And it's pretty interesting. Like that was a good one. Like I said, I kind of stopped because once I got to that name, and you know,
sometimes you can be,
and what I'm saying is, I don't want to, say how it happens or goes about, but that's just the name that I got out of it. You're gonna see something totally different, or maybe you won't see anything, but I totally saw that. You know what I mean? And then actually I stopped, because I had to run and tell Vanessa. I was like, "Yo, I just, saw this thing," and she was like, "No way," and I was like, "I'm telling you, it was something." But anyway, so yeah, so I think there's a lot of ways to start, tapping into our higher consciousnesses, whatever you can do it technologically wise just by looking at different stuff on YouTube. There's so many helpful things on YouTube now, which is great. It's
you
it
got
could be
sopranic tones, binaural beats. You got all different types of things you can just use to help you or get in a deeper meditative state, or trance or what have you.
Yeah, but going back to
for healing purposes.
Yeah.
Tones that heal.
Yeah, of course.
It's all vibration. It just you can have any type of disease or whatever or you can have gout. You know what I mean? But there's a frequency for gout. You can just look up the frequency, the isochronic tone, pure tone, or tone for gout, or you know what I mean, or binaural beat, and it'll these things, like a crystal. These things, all they tap into your the vibration or frequency, and that's basically it's like a radio. When you turn to that station, then that's what the frequency you're on now on, and it can help in many ways.
Yeah, yeah, and
we're a machine. The human being is a machine in a sense. It's just it's a organic, biological machine.
We're just extremely complex machines, really. But
that's way more complex. That's way better than any machine. I mean, it's built by sword. You know what I mean? So,
there you go. Exactly. Yeah, and I think, and also, kind of what you were saying a little bit back though about how, like in the 3D, there's judgment, fear, all these things, and once you heighten yourself past that, then the other dimensions don't have that in there. I think sometimes I would think to myself back in the past, well then, like, it sucks that we have to be in this world where there is so much turmoil and unfairness and injustice and whatever. But then I actually remember, because a lot of people know Joe Rogan and stuff, and he was talking about how resistance creates strength. So you need the resistance in your life to find out where your spirit is and how it will ascend from resistance. I mean, and and if you think about it, I mean, it makes perfect sense. I mean, for instance, if you're going to try and have a strong body, you can't do it just laying on the couch. You've got to start exercising, working out, resistance. You have to use resistance, whatever. If you want to, any of your greatest, stories of greatness, it's always how they overcame, oppression or opposition or something. So, whatever it is, like it's almost like we're in this world that has many great things and has many terrible things, but it's how you navigate in it. And if you allow your will to be strong enough and you build up your character as well as your mental faculties, your spiritual faculties, your physical, your diet, all those things come together, and then you become a product that is like forged in steel, rather than something that's just given. Like they always say, what was it? I forget the term, but it's something like I was going to say something like a prince will never be great like the king, because the king had to make his way. The prince never had to do it. Something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Well, sometimes it'd be like, if you look at it, like kind of like we're like the phoenix rising out of the ashes to ascend. But to do that, you got to grow. To grow consciously, no struggle in a sense, no growth.
Right.
Now, I'm not saying that life should be a struggle. There's a There's a
Right.
spiritual science to this, and that's what we're all trying to learn and figure this out on this journey.
Right. Right.
But it is, how do we navigate through these challenges, through, in this matter realm? Because in the end, we're source light being, that was a spirit that then became a soul, and that soul takes on DNA, and wherever that comes from, and then we're experiencing it, and with this DNA, this soul DNA, we become, unfortunately for us, we're a human being, and now, but we're containing this consciousness as a container, and trying to find, and understand our individuality, because we have free will.
Yeah.
If you understand you know what I mean. So
No.
I think I was close to where, but I think I just kind of.
Yeah. But no, I mean, I that's all I can say. I agree.
We're gonna be doing this a lot. You know how we do.
Yeah.
This
is
how we usually start getting our conversations.
Yeah. Well, see, here's the thing.
Yeah,
You're saying stuff. I almost got to take notes because I want to, make a point on that. But then you keep going, and I'm like, oh yeah, there's another good point. Next thing I know, I forget what I was going to take my note on. But who cares? We got plenty more episodes to go, so we'll just, a lot of this stuff we're just saying, and we're kind of just touching, like, the top of it, because we want to say more, but then we kind of forget, where we're going and stuff, because it's all interlocked. It's all interchangeable. It's all, it's not just like one quick easy story. It's like a story based off of other stories, based off of other stories, based off of experiences, based off of all this other stuff. And
that's spirituality. That's spirituality. When you talk about spirituality, it's not one thing. It's everything.
Yeah.
It's like source. Like source is, when you talk God, source, it's substance in everything.
Yeah.
And usually when we talk 5D, it's not about looking at things from a physical or in a sense of just matter. We're trying to look at the substance behind it that makes that up, and to understand that hits us, that talks to our soul, that communicates to our soul, in a sense, through the heart. You know what I mean? Going deeper beyond what we see as this reality, and really understand what this reality is. It's there's a macrocosm and a microcosm, and it's more than just what we see with the five senses. There's more going on, and that would explain why we have our emotions, and it'll get us more understanding what our emotions, and our thoughts, and understanding laws of attraction, how to navigate and manifest things, because we are co-creator. Like when it says in the Bible, if we're going to use, man was made in God's image, what does that really mean? If you look at one of the main differences from the animals would be, since we're specifically made in God's image, would be that we have a power to manifest. We are co-creators, so we can create, we can manifest. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. No, actually, I think that is.
Other animals we can't say can do that. That's why, what makes a human being, or what did that verse say in the Bible? If we just say, oh, made in God's image, not necessarily look like God. I'm not saying God walks around. God is everything, but we share a certain power, and that we are co-creators.
Yeah.
Now, free will had dense forms. So God, in another sense, expresses himself through us. If that makes sense.
Yeah, right. Well, because well, it's one consciousness that experiences itself through all other consciousnesses that create the one consciousness. So it's
all one. Right?
It's all one,
so
but it's all separate.
All one.
Right. And which makes perfect sense.
Free will.
Yeah.
We think we're individual. We have individuality. That's why I think I'm me and I'm not you. You're not me. And which is naturally in this 3D world, if we don't, without really understanding that, in a sense, that's why there's so much judgment, And what did Jesus say? Who is Christ consciousness? 5D, don't judge. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because in the end, actually, you're just judging yourself.
Right.
Because we're all one. So it's better to heal us and become an entity of unconditional love rather than the judgment and compartmentalizing everything, and where we're and putting labels on everything, so we feel that that's what we are, just a label, and then that takes away from what we think our worth is, and you see that in just and even just insecurity and how we see that in stress and depression and what goes on in the 3D realm, in the lower realm. Yes.
I remember at some point when I was more religious, someone was saying, whatever, something about how they hate religion and everything, and that they said a lot of legitimate points, and there was a moment. Basically, she made some really good points about how if people are getting back to religion, if people are trying to do the right thing, even when they're religious, then why are people blowing themselves up in the name of God? It did get me thinking through that. And that was the point where I think I started to think a little bit more higher consciously, not just go by what I was told anymore. And so what I came to the realization, and I said, well, each there's more extreme religions, there's more passive religions, and but I was like, look, here's and this is what I kind of came to right in the moment. So I realized this. I said, look, if you believe that what your God is telling you is right, even though it may conflict with other people's religions who say that their God says just the opposite, it doesn't matter. Point is, I kind of started to realize, okay, how about this? If you're trying to do the right thing because your God says this is how it is and this is what's right and this is what's wrong, then I came to a conclusion from this point on, and this is kind of what I said to her. If you believe in your God so implicitly, then instead of you handling the things that your God says is right and wrong, since you believe in your God so much, let him handle it. Meaning, instead of you going blowing yourself up because your God says that those people are evil, how about you let your God blow them up? If you believe that he's real and that he'll handle it, you should take care of it. Treat everyone with common courtesy and human decency. And if your God says other things, because humans are all humans, we're all equal. We all have the same body, same brain, same mind. No one has higher, elevated DNA. No one can fly. No one can do anything different.
You gotta remember.
Wait, hold on. Wait. But I'm just saying though. So that's the conclusion I kind of came with, because my point is this: when we're trying to reach higher consciousnesses, sometimes other people in other religions will go, well, I'm reaching the high, but because my God has a high moral standard, or my God that this and that, so I'm doing the higher consciousness thing, or I'm doing the right thing, and I'm like, but yeah, okay, that's fine, but there's one thing which is kind of common, which is that if you do something to someone else and they don't consent to it, then you're attacking them. You're intruding on their their well-being. You know what I mean? So, which is essentially, that's like when someone robs someone, rob, rape, whatever you want to call it. If they don't consent to it, if they don't consent to you blowing up, them, or they don't consent to you hanging them or whatever it is, then essentially, what gives you the right? And because you think you're right. So my thing is, instead of you thinking that you're right, if you're doing something that a higher power says, whatever, once again, to inflict violence on someone else, then I say, then let that God who you worship do the inflicting. You shouldn't have to do the inflicting. If you believe he's real and powerful and can do all this, let him do the inflicting. You get it? And that's what to me separates people that think what they're doing is right compared to people that can, believe in something but not actually do things that are horrific or wrong. Do you kind of get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I agree. But that's what makes him like. That's like talking to telling a serial killer why he shouldn't do what he does. But if he actually believes why he does it, or believes, or someone believes that there's some higher power telling them to do it, then that's their belief, though.
Right.
So that's
but
like I hear from your saying, like, but I mean, it's easy to say, like, yeah, but then let your God handle it. But they're believing that their God's telling them that they have to do that if they want to ascend. So that is their job. That's so. You see what I'm saying? Like that. Like maybe them killing somebody to them is their God giving them a test, and they have to accomplish that challenge, accomplish that mission, and then they ascend. If not, then it's not their God supposed to do the work. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's
okay. All right.
Look at it.
Right.
Because sometimes, I mean, if you're blinded by your own light, then how would you see what is the true light? Because you're blinded by your own light. That's the whole thing.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. And I was blinded by my own light, for a long time too. I thought I knew everything. Because my God said this and that. But my point is, there was a point. But there was. Yeah.
Almost died.
Right. I would have died for it. But here's the thing. My point is, then I stopped just blindly following what I believed some greater person, entity told me to do, because I started using my more logical, critical thinking brain, which started going, well, what are the ethics involved in this? What are the ethics involved in someone saying, that whole nation of people should be wiped off the earth or whatever? And it's like, well, but if on the flip side, if they think that their God says that they're good and your God says that they're bad, there's a certain point when I think if you're psychotic, but my thing is this, is that I wonder if somewhere in there, when people decide to take a side, whether it be whatever, religiously or politically, then it's almost like there's like a little bit of ego where they think, see, I'm doing the right thing and I know better than you. And once again, if you look at things more objectively, there's a lot of ways where, they can't, in other words, a lot of these issues, they go, I'm right because my God says so. And it's like, well, how do you know your God is right? You know what I mean? And it goes into a whole bunch of things. But still, I'm just saying is there's a certain point where I would think if you develop an objective perspective of moral standards, then you have to put yourself in the position of the other person and see where they're coming from, and then start to realize these people aren't like evil, or they're not, deserving of death. And what makes you the executioner? And once again, I get what you're saying. Oh, your God's testing you. Well, I'm saying maybe you should test your God, because maybe, your God is telling you to do a whole bunch of messed up stuff that really, you shouldn't be doing. Or, you know what I'm saying?
See what I'm saying?
What?
See, that's the whole thing. To them, it may not be messed up to them. When you say your God's telling you to do a whole bunch of messed up stuff, but to them it may not be messed up. It'd be like, even in the Bible, Jehovah's had armies, destroyed in cities and women and children killed. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I'm sure when they carried out that mission, they weren't looking about our God's telling us to do bad stuff. There's a reason for it. They believe that. So in the end, that's a person that's really strong in their belief, rather they're right or wrong, but they believe that.
I know.
So it's easy to say, but you shouldn't do it. But that's why in the end Jesus said, "No judgment, do not judge." You know what I mean? And actually, when we're talking about 3D and 5D, 5D is looking to surpass judgment and good and evil. See, all of that gets in the way. So in one way, from a 3D aspect, there's going to be light, there's going to be darkness. And it's just, and the darkness is not to be judged. You don't judge the darkness, or Satan, or whatever you want to call it, Satan. Don't judge it, or judge Satan. Really, just know Satan's there to show you what not to do. And that's why in the end, don't worry about what else everyone else is doing. Just worry about what you need to be doing. And that's basically it. You know what I mean? That'll be the difference in 3D and 5D. The 3D, you get caught up in your ego. And that's our challenge here on this planet. We're always dealing with their ego. You know what I mean? But when 5D, you're talking ego death. So that's not an issue. All this judgment, all this, even going through this guessing game, what's right, what's wrong, and you know what I mean? But we're going through a process of finding that. And that's where we're at. That's as we evolve. So some of it isn't really always to be judged, because as we're that phoenix rising out of the ashes, this is a part of our life. There are going to be tests and challenges, but it's how we navigate through them and how to deal with them when they come up. That's what makes one a wise man. You know what I mean? Or you become wiser. You know what I mean? But you have to gain that knowledge and stay open-minded to obtain that knowledge. And the more you comprehend that knowledge and understand it, and mentally, physically, and spiritually, then it makes things start making more sense, and naturally you would evolve. Like you said, you would have died for your God or your religion, but you changed and you said, well, then I realized why this or that or why whatever. But in the end, that's a form of an awakening, So just like everyone else, that a lot of people that haven't got there yet, maybe they will. There's still hope. They're whatever it is, or extremists, or people killing each other for whatever. But many of them still can have an awakening, and go, hey, I don't think this is right anymore, or whatever. It just doesn't resonate with me anymore, and it's that simple.
Right. So that's why I'm saying this is that I generally agree with what you're saying, but when you're like, so don't judge and everything. Well, what these people are doing, they are judging gay people, or they are killing people through judging,
exactly.
Whatever. So what I'm saying is that, maybe they're not to that level of not judging, but that's why I'm suggesting what I'm saying is like, look, I'm not saying this to you and I, because we both know we're at the level where we wouldn't, I would think we wouldn't get involved in those type of, activities. But what I'm saying is that I'm putting this out there. I'm proposing to people that maybe are saying, because while we're in the middle of this discussion and talking, we're saying, oh, just do the right thing. And once again, people will go, I think I am doing the right thing, but maybe they are in like an extremist type of, belief system that causes them to do terrible things. So I'm throwing this in as a possible way to rethink things, which is, look, even if you think what you're doing is right, I'm saying I came from a pretty strict, religion. With our religion, if someone was a member of the religion and then they decided no longer to be associated with that religion, our rules taught from the platform was then you excommunicate them, and they're not allowed to have, they lose their family, their friends, their whole social structure, and for a lot of them that's suicidal. It's it's so depressive to lose everything you have and have no support, no nothing. So I feel, looking back now, that is a very terrible ethical teaching to teach. Okay, because it breaks up families, it breaks up the natural family structure and stuff like that. So I realized these things, and I started to distance myself from those type of teachings or whatever. Now, I'm not saying I totally am against the entire religion for everything that it teaches. No, it teaches a lot of good things, but there's some critical parts that I don't agree with at all. I think are very damaging. And so, but it came from me, myself, to start to realize that and think, if my God wants me to do that, then there's certain things I don't agree with with my God. Or maybe that God didn't teach it. Maybe that was just humans teaching something. You know what I mean? But
Right.
either way,
But
either way, I needed to take the step forward to start challenging what I was told is the right thing to do, and then start thinking for myself and think, well, as just a person walking on this planet, once again, what gives me the power, the right to decide that this person should, be hung, or this person's going to go to hell, or whatever your belief system is. And a lot of it was just because I assumed that the God that was telling me all this was right. And there's a certain point when you have to start thinking to yourself, yeah, maybe some of the teachings are from your God that are correct, but maybe some of the other teachings that are in there are the people that were in power at that time that were supposedly God's channel, and they put their own agendas into things because people aren't perfect and they do things to manipulate stuff for their own power structure, and they use it through the justification of the true God or whatever it is that you believe in stuff. And you find out, over time, it's like, no, some of those teachings in there are ethically wrong. And that's for you to start weeding through. You know what I'm saying? Raising your consciousness. You know what I mean?
That's why it's important. Hey, it's important to be open-minded. You know what I mean? Follow what your heart tells you and guides you, and do research. Like do your own research. A lot of times, if you're a part of something or something doesn't feel right, then do your own research. And usually, eventually, you'll come to an answer. You know what I mean?
I agree with you, and I think that that's totally, absolutely the way to go. But unfortunately, as we know, there's a lot of people when they believe something, and then once they hear the opposite, the opposing argument, they don't want to hear it. You know what I mean? That they're just like, not because they put up these mental walls to reinforce what they think. And when someone starts to say anything that may make a little sense, that may be a little logical, and it might make them kind of, lose their faith or whatever their belief system, they want to purge it immediately and they want to run away from it, which is a part of fear. Fear is the thing that makes you run away from things rather than having the courage to listen through and start the process. You know what I mean? And fear is a lower vibration, So
that's it. Fear is,
yeah. Anyway, you know what?
Fear is the conscious killer.
There you go. Hey, what? I think we're going to stop on here. We've been talking for a little bit, but great conversation. I think there's a few things I'm going to look back on here. We'll maybe continue some parts of this conversation in our next one. But hey, basically, let's just keep that positive energy, people. I know we went up and down with a bunch of things here. But the main thing is positivity, spreading, keep spreading that love, keep that energy going, everyone. There's ups and downs in our lives or whatever, but it's your perspective and how you want to handle it that still can keep you going positive, up. And that's what it's all about. You know what I mean? So, So, same thing, like and subscribe, all that stuff definitely helps us out. And I guess we will talk to you all later.
Awesome.
Peace.
Namaste. Peace out.
Thanks for watching. Give us a like. We'll be replying to your comments in our next episodes. We post almost daily, so subscribe to keep up with the latest.